Rachel Morin was a 37-year-old mother of 5. She was living a very busy life and a very active life. On Saturday, August 5th, she left her home at around 6 p.m. to go for a run. She headed to Ma and Pa Heritage Trail in Bel Air, Maryland, which is about 30 miles north of Baltimore. When she didn't return later that night, her boyfriend reported her missing to police at 11:23 p.m. A search of the trail and surrounding areas followed. Then, at 1:07 p.m. Sunday, a citizen called 911 to report finding a deceased female's body. It was at this point the case turned from a missing person to homicide. 11 days later, the sheriff's office said that a DNA sample found at the crime scene was a match to a man wanted for a home invasion and an assault of a 9-year-old girl in Los Angeles. The suspect's identity was not known, but authorities released surveillance video of this unknown suspect. Shockingly, an arrest was not imminent, and Rachel's family grew justifiably frustrated. And now, almost a year later, finally, a huge development and an arrest in the case. Tonight, we will have all the latest and look at how this suspect was finally tracked down, and we'll get reaction from the family as we investigate the murder of Rachel Morin. I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you for joining us here on Closing Arguments. One thing that I learned early on in my career here at Court TV is families of victims don't ever get closure. So I do not use that word. And I think it's important to think about this for a moment, the position that they're in. Their loved one is gone. Their loved one is not coming back. There is no closure to that. That is something that they carry with them every day for the rest of their lives. So now we turn to what happens. There are investigations, and our system of justice gets involved. So for these families that will never get closure, the best that they can do, the best that our system can do for them is to get a sense of justice, which means, number one, figuring out what happened, figuring out who was responsible, dragging that person into a courtroom, getting that person convicted, and having them punished according to what they did. And that's a long road. That is a long, long road. And for some families, it's way too long. And for some families, they never even get that. So let's talk tonight about Rachel Morin, mother of 5. You know, you're mom of 5, you're busy. You are just busy, period. But she was busy, and she was active, and she was doing things. And she went missing when she went out just to go to the park for like a little walk, get some exercise on August 5th. When no one found her, when she didn't come home, she was reported missing, and they searched. And the next day, someone found her. But then 11 days later, there was a huge development in this investigation, which was that you had DNA from the murder scene that was linked to another case. Now, this is happening in Maryland, but it's linked to a case across the country in Los Angeles. It's a home invasion and the assault of a little girl. But in that case, there is video. There is actual video of the suspect. So you're like, okay, case solved, right? Not even close. Because they had the DNA from 2 crimes, 2 sides of the country, but they didn't have the identity of the suspect they were looking for. And the case lingered, like day after day, week after week, month after month, despite the fact that you had this surveillance video. And here it is. So this is the suspect. They know this is the person they're looking for. Now, if you know that person, you're absolutely going to recognize them. If you know that person. So does anyone come forward? Why wouldn't you come forward? This is someone who is suspected to be a serial offender. It doesn't happen. Meanwhile, the family is saying, well, you kind of got the back of him there. How about a sketch? Can we put out the sketch of this man? And that takes months for this sketch to finally come out. It doesn't come out until February. And here it is. Here's the sketch that finally comes out. And now finally this weekend, law enforcement is able to put the pieces together, somehow identify this suspect, locate this suspect. Let's take a listen to the sheriff.
Just over 3 weeks ago, on May 20th, on what should have been Rachel's 38th birthday, and then a poetic coincidence, or perhaps in Rachel's own divine assistance, our investigators uncovered a lead that led us to this day. And on this day, I'm here to tell you, Rachel's murderer is no longer a free man. Hopefully, he will never have the opportunity to walk free again. Police in Tulsa, Oklahoma, assisted by our federal partners, located and arrested Rachel's murderer, Victor Antonio Martinez-Hernandez. So far, we have learned that the suspect, now pictured on the screens, is a 23-year-old citizen of El Salvador who illegally crossed the border into the United States in February of 2023.
Okay, let's bring in our special guest because this, like I started everything off with tonight, you don't get closure at this moment. You're hoping to get a sense of justice, and this seems to be step one. So let's hear from her family. Joining me, Rachel's sister, Erin, is with us, Erin Morin, and Rachel's former boyfriend and the father of her oldest daughter, Mac McMahon, is with us as well. Thank you both for being here. I appreciate it. Erin, I'll begin with you. From your perspective, where were you the moment that you learned about the arrest, and describe how that impacted you at that moment?
I woke up Saturday morning to some text messages that came in around 3 a.m. Obviously, I was asleep. I sleep like a rock at night. But when I read it, I couldn't believe what I was reading. I went online immediately to see if there was any kind of news article, and there was nothing out there yet. So I just kept on reaching out to family members and friends to see if they knew anything and to confirm it. So it was confirmed. So it was, I just busted out in tears. It was such a relief to get that news. It's been a long 10 months, and it feels like there was a point where it felt like maybe it just wasn't going to happen, you know? So we're grateful and relieved and happy that he finally is off the streets, that he can't do this to anybody else, and that justice will be served for Rachel.
You know, Erin and Matt, the viewers of Court TV, they care about you. I interact with them all the time, whether sometimes you meet them in person at events or here, and they are so concerned about how you are handling all this. So, Matt, from your perspective and your daughter's perspective, learning about this, and what does that do? Like, how much does it help at a time like this?
Well, it helps tremendously when you're dealing with a brutal murder like this for 10.5 months. It consumes your mind. It weighs down on you. It takes over your whole life. Just wondering where this person is. What can you do to help find this person? And then when you realize he's been caught, it's almost like you've been suddenly freed. I could start thinking about other things, and my whole mentality just instantly changed. It's hard to explain. I mean,
well, I'm glad that you're here in this first step. But what I will say, you know, having worked at Court TV, having been a prosecutor, et cetera, and I tried to talk about a little bit at the top here, this is like step one of this process now in our system of justice, right? They've put the evidence together and they've arrested someone. Aaron, are you prepared for the journey that may honestly take years? It can happen faster, but it may take years.
And I just, I've been in prayer this whole time, and I have an awesome God who has carried me through it and given me strength. And I know, like, he's going to go before us during this journey, and it's going to be hard. But I'm not worried about me. I am worried about Rachel's children, and just focusing on them, spending time with them, loving them, being everything in their life that I can possibly be. So I know that their life has changed forever. Even though we might get justice and get him locked away forever, it's never going to bring their mom back. So that's something they're going to have to live with for every stage of their life. Their mom's never going to be there for them. So for me, that is my journey right now, is to be the best aunt and person in their life that I can be.
Matt, talk about that part of it as well, for your daughter, and how to handle this, because this is something that's going to stay in the headlines. There'll be ebbs and flows. There'll be times when he has to show up in court. There'll be times where his defense attorney may say something outrageous, and then ultimately there may very well be a trial. Is your daughter prepared for how this may take form over the next several years?
I'm absolutely prepared. Before they apprehended this suspect, I didn't know if we would ever have an end to this process. Now I at least know that a conclusion is coming, that this man is going to face justice. So that gives me a lot of hope. But as for Faye and the other children, you have to remember that even though he's caught, and that's good news, it's also a reminder of the trauma that they've been dealing with for the last 10 months. So this is also a very painful time for them as well. It brings back up so many emotions and thoughts and feelings of loss. But I intend to be there for every moment that the public is allowed to be in court.
I hear the strength in both of your voices, which is great to hear, which is absolutely, because the family needs those rocks when you go through all of this. Aaron, tell me your reaction when you found out who this man is.
Yeah, I had a feeling he was an illegal alien. And so when that came out, I wasn't shocked. I feel like there is way too much freedom at the border, and it needs to be secure. And it's just painful that, like, the people that we don't know, criminals coming in, bringing drugs, sex trafficking, like, there's so much crime coming through the border, and we really need to get a handle on it. And I couldn't be any more agreeable with Trump right now on his statement that he made today on social media, on Truth Social. So he mentioned Rachel Morin and trying to secure the border. And I'm really praying that those efforts do come to fruition and we can stop this border crisis.
Matt, how about you when you found out this man's background?
I guess part of me was surprised because I was trying to not formulate any opinions about who this person was aside from any evidence that I already had. And I just didn't know if he was born here or came here illegally. I was particularly disappointed today when I learned that I'd been told from a couple different sources that he had apparently been even deported a couple times and managed to keep coming back into the country. So I was really disappointed to hear that he was able to keep doing that.
All right, Aaron and Matt are going to be gracious enough to stay with us. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the investigation and how this suspect was actually apprehended. Don't go away.
A-list actor Alec Baldwin is cast in the real-life role he never wanted.
I try and cock the gun, the gun goes off.
Criminal defendant.
His lack of gun safety is something that he's going to have to answer for.
We heard that this was a toxic set.
One more.
It's not his fault. He did nothing wrong.
Is there an actor's exemption from liability when they're handling a deadly firearm?
The Alec Baldwin manslaughter trial. Live coverage coming this July, only on Court TV.
The lead we received was related to DNA evidence and allowed investigators to finally put a name to the image of the suspect in the video from Los Angeles, which we released 2 weeks after Rachel's death.
Here's what I can share from the FBI. Our investigative genetic genealogy team in Baltimore worked countless hours to identify the suspect by using crime scene DNA and tracing that DNA to potential family members. Investigators even traveled to El Salvador as part of their efforts to identify this killer. I think folks should also know that we prioritize the violent crime cases that are current, and that this is an game-changing investigative tool to understand when there are dry holes and there's no other leads to go, that we can apply the investigative genealogy to identify potentially family members, and then in doing that, take it on to a step where Hartford County and our partners can conduct interviews to better understand who the potential subjects are and narrow down that scope. We also use it on, unfortunately, the victim side, when we can't identify a victim through any other means, and building out the cases that way. We've seen over time 130 cases thus far since 2018 that have had successfully used investigative genetic genealogy.
Investigative genealogy was crucial here in identifying the suspect, the accused killer in all of this. Now, then you have to identify him, then you've got to actually physically find him. And he's arrested in Oklahoma. Remember, this is a murder that took place in Maryland. He's wanted in a case connected to California. He's originally from El Salvador. Putting these pieces together, not easy. Still with us, Rachel's sister, Erin, and Rachel's former boyfriend, the father of Rachel's oldest daughter, Matt, is with us as well. Matt, I know you worked hard to cooperate and help push this investigation. You have any idea the genealogy to identify him, but then to track him down and find him? Have you learned anything about how they were able to find this guy in Oklahoma?
I have. In a briefing Faye and I were brought into on Friday that we were told we couldn't reveal any of the information from.
So please don't. I'm not asking you to.
Very little.
Right.
Well, that was before they apprehended the suspect. They didn't want to spook the suspect because at that point they did not know the address of where he was. But they were worried the information would leak to us. They just let us know that they were able to locate some place that he had been staying and obtain something that he left behind. And with DNA that they were able to retrieve from that, they were able to learn his identity and then start tracking him once they knew who he was, once they had his photo. So, Friday evening, they didn't know where he was. And then Friday night, they called and said that they got him.
So, Erin, this investigation at times had to be frustrating, right? Because there's a video of the suspect. We don't know who he is. You could release a sketch, but no sketch is released. What was it like going through these 10 months without a capture? Like, we're at the end now of this first part of the case, but those first 10 months had to be somewhat frustrating based upon some of the evidence and clues that they had.
Yeah, very frustrating. Since we got the video 11 days later, it seemed like in the beginning things were happening pretty quickly, and then nothing. To be honest with you, I was not comfortable being out in public. I was kind of kind of wigged out and afraid to be places, and because you're just always looking over your shoulder. You just don't know. Then I had to just really give it to God and pray about it and say, I can't live this way. I gotta, be stronger than that. But it really did, weighs on you. It's a toll to go through, just to always wondering, where is he at? Who is this? What is he doing now? How many people is he going to hurt? Is this going to happen again? So many things would go through your head.
Absolutely. And Aaron, I understand that you may have some good news that you can share with folks related to Faye.
I'm going to be a great aunt.
So
that's exciting.
Tell us the news for people who don't know. Give us something to smile about tonight.
Matt, do you want to disclose it?
No, I was deferring to you. I was going to let you give this good news.
Okay, all right.
So put it in relation.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to like take the limelight. So Faye, she is pregnant, 4 months. She's due December 1st, and she's going to have a girl.
That's amazing.
So we're just blessed.
Rachel would be a grandmother.
Yeah.
That would be Rachel's granddaughter, will be your granddaughter, Matt. Well, that's another reason to smile tonight, from ear to ear, and
yes,
and an absolute blessing for your family. Thank you both for joining us. This is going to be a long journey, so I hope you'll come back and join us as we get closer and closer to that day in court. Because I know now he's still in Oklahoma. It'll take a while to get back to Maryland, but we appreciate it so much, and the best to your family, and congratulations on the upcoming granddaughter. All right, it's nice to be able to end the segment with something positive in a very difficult situation.